Hey, everybody, what's going on our other broadcast? What's up? Paul here from hashtag sports. So crazy game, right? The cardiac kids, I've been told this team could be equated to, probably pretty fair, right? I think that's probably pretty fair. So today we got dual camera action going on. So obviously you got me here on YouTube, and we also have the broadcast going on Sports Center as well. Anything you guys need, I'm here to talk to you. Mario was at the game, and by the way, he was posting live videos of himself at the game with Drew from the Rockpile Report. So as you can imagine, how that probably went, right? That's I'm sure it was a good time. That's all I'm going to leave it at. I'm sure it looked like he was having a wonderful time. I'm just loading up the chat section now, and we're going to get going. Brian Buke, I like Dawson Knox this game. Tyler Hickey, let's go. Zayad Champion, he's a real good all-around player. I assume you're talking about Knox. Reich Rarick, the TJ Yeldon fumble, and Josh Allen INT nearly lost us the game. Oh my God, 1,000,000,000%. But Trey White dropping the crazy, right? What a game from Trey White. Oh my goodness, what a game. All right, so thank you again for joining me both on YouTube and Sportscaster. So let's get going. On Sportscaster, hey, what's going on, Goat Thurman, JJ, and Mats? Thanks again for joining us on both platforms. So here's the deal, right? I got a little bit of technology in our corner today. Obviously, you see the microphone. That is actually working only exclusively through Sportscaster. So those of you on Sportscaster could probably hear all my ridiculous sound effects that I've added, such as the Bill Shout song. There we go. So lots of craziness going on. I will get it up and running for both YouTube, so that way y'all can experience the power there. Robert Morlock, Poncho Power, awesome to see the Bills do something ahead of the game. Really touching. Harrison Phillips comes out in a sombrero. You can't beat that, right? Total all around great experience if you're a Bills fan. What a day to be a Bills fan, man. Really, what a day. And good grief, could we have a crazier game than what we saw? Oh my Lord, what a game. What a game. Okay, so Scott Blakely says, what happened with the O-line today? I saw Naseki get a little banged up. Feliciano is out. The problem with losing Feliciano is Feliciano's the guy that communicates with your right tackle, and the issue is when you have Naseki or Ford kind of playing that swap role where they're just in and out all the time, what ends up happening is you lose a lot of that communication, and that's a problem, right? So when you lose Feliciano, you lose that communication to that right tackle position. It happens, man. It happens. So we'll see but this is why you carry 10 offensive linemen on your roster, right? The Bills have 10 offensive linemen. You lose one or two, they're keeping enough to make you feel comfortable in the fact that they should be okay, but we'll find out, man. What a game. Good grief. All right, so let's talk a little bit about stats for the game, kind of wrap up what the game that was. Crazy game. So Josh Allen, the first half, I think, had 27 pass attempts. He ended up 23 for 36 for 243, a TD, and a gut-wrenching interception. Andy Dalton, 20 for 36. He didn't complete a pass for, oh my gosh, almost nearly the first half. Joe Mixon, 15 for 61. Giovanni Bernard, 3 for 5. Frank Gore, 14 for 76. Josh Allen, your second leading rusher, 9 carries for 46 yards, and that's a scary number. That's a scary number. Dawson Knox with 1 carry for 9 yards. I love it. Auden Tate, I thought that was Brandon Tate. Because I think Brandon Tate wore 19 as well when he was assisting, but it's actually Auden Tate, different player. 6 receptions for 88 yards. Tyler Boyd, 6 for 66. John Ross, 2 for 22, and a nasty fumble. Dawson Knox, 3 for 67, and a touchdown off 4 targets. John Brown, 4 for 51 on 5 targets. Cole Beasley raking 10 targets, 8 receptions for 48 yards. Zay Jones, 2 on 3 for 33 yards. And as far as fumble recoveries for the day, rough game, man. Rough game from a turnover standpoint. You cannot be giving turnovers to the other team. This offense is not one that's going to be able to march the field every single drive and just put up 150 points. It's just simply not going to happen, right? I would love to say that that's the world and the reality that we live in, but it's not. This is not a team that's going to be putting up, 60 points a game. With that being said, right, still simply could be much worse. Bills 21, Bengals 17. But man, the game got out of control quick. Whenever you're up 2 scores, right, it's rough to immediately put the team right back in it. So let's unpack a little bit of what we've seen so far. So first off, I just want to recap, right? The Jets lost to the Patriots. Actually, believe it or not, the Patriots did not cover the spread. It was a 3-possession game, but they still didn't cover the spread on that. So the Jets are 0-3. The Giants play later today, right? They're playing right now, but they're still 0-2. The Bengals haven't won a game yet. So the Bills are 3-0 on teams that are 0-5. So we'll see what happens with the Giants. Actually, a winnable game for the Giants. But really poor adjustments at halftime for the Bills. There's something that you got to do. You got to be able to rake that in. James Saunders calls out, our defense allowed only 14 points per game. That should win you football games. You're only giving up 14 points, 15, 16, 17 points. That's good enough to win football games. The Bills right now coming into today, were ranked 10th in the NFL with 22.5 points. They, cut that margin right again. So we'll see where they rank once this week's over. The run haul, our third quarter, are horrible. That's adjustments, man. That's what that is. A lot of that is adjustments at halftime. The Bengals simply outthought Buffalo once you got into the half. So once you got through that halftime and they came out, it was tough. Kevin Healy says Deion Dawkins was looking lost on his knees, looking at the sidelines. I can't say that Dawkins really stood out to me today. Yeah, I don't know if he really stood out to me today. I'm going to go back and rewatch the game. I was a little of a prisoner of the moment for a while. Paul Berg absolutely hates Deion Dawkins. So if you're in the YouTube chat, believe me, he's going to talk some nonsense about Deion Dawkins. I can't say that he really stood out to me. Tim Sherry, let's go Buffalo, and then about 1,000 fists and muscles and hundreds all over the place. Derek Robinson says the O-line has to pass block better. Yeah, when Josh Allen's running for his life out there, yeah, that was a little bit of a problem. Stephen Gorney doesn't think that Cody Ford is an NFL tackle. I'm not selling that just yet. I think Ty Nsekhe played a really solid game. However, there's room for improvement all the way across that offensive line. And Frank Gore was just a badass. The Life of John says Gore, oh my God. Frank Gore covered up a lot, right? So one of the things that we saw that was very different from this game versus the last one was the lack of Devin Singletary, right? So let's talk about that for a minute, right? So in the comments, I want you guys to let me know, was the loss of Devin Singletary as big an impact to you as it was to me? Because when I watched the game, I was really struggling without Devin Singletary in that football game. And 2 months ago, man, never would have said that, right? Never would have said that. Matt's and Sportscaster, hey guys, I'm really torn. Until the INT, the game looks safe. And it went downhill fast, way fast. The game went down super fast. But I think losing Singletary was a big bang against this team. Because here's what happened, right? Without Singletary, Wandercoder 01 says, I think with Singletary, it's a complete blowout. Mike Mueller, huge Singletary loss. Yep. Chris Stratton, I think Singletary outcost us at least 7. Brian Buke, Yeldon is no substitute for Singletary. Paul Pagano, huge loss without Devin Singletary. Yep. So what ended up happening with Devin Singletary that we've seen are these big explosive plays that kind of revitalize an offense just kind of plodding down the field, right? So Buffalo's offense last season and even the season before that was a little bit of a plotter, right? So they would slowly work their way down the field. They'd get in a third. You'd hope it was third and short, so they convert. It was tough. And today you had to kind of use McKenzie. You had to kind of, you had to make it appear like you were going to use Andre Roberts. They used Dawson Knox in the run game to try and open things up a little bit. So without Singletary, they had to get pretty creative, right? And that's going to happen without a playmaker like Devin Singletary. So unfortunately, what ends up happening when you lose a player like Singletary, and again, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth this early in the season, but he has the ability to really blow a drive open for you, right? So what Singletary had done for the past was really, was breathing a lot of life into that Bills offense, and without that today, you saw it. right? So it had to fall solely on the shoulders of Josh Allen. And don't get me wrong, I think, Josh Allen did a fine job of trying to keep it together. That interception was nasty. That fumble is just so tough. Joe for Believers Talk never doubted it. You are a lion. You are a liar. Joe, I watched that broadcast here on Sportscaster. You are a lion if you said this was never in doubt. You are out of your mind. So really, if you just look at Devin Singletary's stats so far for the season, you see big boom, right? Big boom, and this offense just didn't have that today. Frank Gore looked great, made some beautiful cuts. Once he got to the interior, the line looked awesome. And then you have TJ Yeldon. And if you guys are calling out in the chat, and I think you're all spot on, Yeldon is just not comparable to Devin Singletary. His very few snaps that he was getting, and probably even racked himself down the roster a little bit. So what ends up happening with TJ Yeldon, right? He gets barely any snaps the first few weeks, right? The first 2 weeks, he's taken just a handful of snaps on offense. And then you have a game like today where this is his opportunity, right? This is an opportunity to set out. But big but, right? This is his opportunity to set himself aside from the rest of the running backs and say, listen, I belong here. And not to say that he looked bad, right? But you almost have to wonder, if you had to go between TJ Yeldon and Marcus Murphy, who is a free agent right now, if you're the Bills, what are you doing, right? Are you going to stay with TJ Yeldon and say, no, we made the right choice. We're going to stick this one out. Let's keep going. We made the right choice. He was our contingency plan for a reason. These are the reasons this is the reason why we drafted Devin Singletary. We got TJ Yeldon in to make sure that if we didn't get a running back, we had something that worked. And LaRon Hall says Yeldon stays. Very possible that he could, but you can't deny the fact that it wasn't a great look. Right, it certainly wasn't a good look for TJ Yeldon today. You can't fumble the football, and the truth is, you can't give teams possessions, and that's what Buffalo did. They gave the Bengals possessions, and they kept them in the game. You just can't do that. This is, again, when you're an offense that is not going to be out there putting up 45, if you're not going to be dropping 50 bombs on people, you can't be given up possessions like that. Robert Moore, like Christian Wade on the practice squad. Yes, Christian Wade is exempt from the roster this season. He is stuck on the practice squad, cannot be removed, so he cannot be activated. He'll be able to come back next season if they wanted him in camp, and then he loses that international player status, right? So that's the deal. Chuck Christopher. Turning attention to next week, real quick, great point. You can't give the Patriots possessions like you did here. You cannot give the Patriots possessions. Can't do it. YouTube, why are you hitting spam time, bro? Come on, man. I'm gonna have to silence you in the chat. You keep doing that. Yeah, let's not play games in the chat. We have an amazing hashtag nation here. Let's not play games in the chat. No, none of that. All right, let's keep going through the comments on YouTube. Let's make sure that you guys have everything that you want to talk about. Stephen Gorney, the game tape from the O that we just put up is going to make Bill the happiest man in the league this week. So the struggles with the offensive line. What's the best way for me to phrase this? The struggles with the offensive line are similar to what Buffalo likes to try and do, right? We're going to give up speed rushers to the outside. Ford, Dawkins, and Nsekhe are not exactly speed demons on the exterior, right? So from a tackle position, they're going to give up that real deep pressure. And then Allen has to try and buy himself time. One thing that you'll notice about Allen is that oftentimes when he's starting to see pressure in his face, he backs up, right? The problem that runs into, and the interior of the line had some trouble with this today, as Allen backs up, right, that those speed rushers on the outside, Allen's backing into pressure, right? So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. You're going to step forward into pressure, right, that you see coming into your face, or you could step back to try and run away from that pressure. But again, that exterior pressure, that the corners are coming off the end, those defensive ends are coming around the tackles. So that creates a little bit of a problem. Oftentimes what happens is if it's just a four-man rush, right, you see those speed rushers coming in on the outside and you see the defensive tackles pushing back the interior of your line, is it creates gaps there, right? And you can kind of sidestep those gaps. We saw Allen try and do that a little bit today, but it's still something that I think he's going to get rolled on when it comes to game footage time. I think he's going to get rolled on that pretty hard. But yet again, we saw another Josh Allen running for his life interception that you just can't make. Now, could it have been the intentional grounding call that took them out of field goal range early in the game? Joe from Believers Talk was really upset about that at the beginning of the game when he was live casting on both his channel on YouTube as well as the hashtag on Sportscaster. So if you haven't followed Joe from Believers Talk, please go do that. Let's get Joe to 1,000 subs on YouTube. Let's get him there, man, because homeboy is doing all this for free right now. So if that penalty doesn't happen, right? So if that penalty does not happen, this comes in, you get an extra possession here, right? Because I'm going to assume that Hauschka makes the field goal. That's fine. Faith Van Dyke just asked, Edelman out for next week. A little early to call Edelman out yet, but chest injuries are nasty, right? So chest injuries are not like ankles where they could tape you up and give you a shot and throw you back out there again, like they questionably do in the training department of most NFL locker rooms. Chest injuries are bad. So Edelman I would just kind of walk into this week and be surprised if Edelman plays next week. Big boom for the Bills, right? Because they are now without AB because he's off in crazy land, whatever the hell he's doing. And then you're also going to be without Julian Edelman, which is great, right? That is an ideal circumstance for the Bills. But the Patriots like to try and abuse teams and take advantage of their weakness. And in the second half, the Bills looked really susceptible against the run again, right? That's when the holes started to open up. I want to just kind of, you have to eliminate that last drive by the Bengals, right? So Andy Dalton ends up picking up a lot of yardage on his stat sheet in that last drive. You kind of have to pump the brakes on that a little bit because the Bills were giving up a lot of those underneath routes. So like you saw Auden Tate go in and he had 2 receptions for like 30 yards, as they were marching down the middle of the field. And the Bills were taking away all the deep routes. They were willing to give that underneath stuff. Auden Tate read that it was, they were playing deep zone. He's like, I'm just going to sit here 10, 15 yards out, take what I can get and just run up the field, which is a smart play. It's the right play if you're the receiver. So I don't blame him. I don't blame the Bills defense for that. You really don't have to tighten up that coverage to get about the 30-yard line anyway, because anything else is just pure luck. So I don't blame the Bills for kind of laying back on that a little bit. But even with that being said, it was still a nail biter because you'd never want to see the other team marching down the field. Terrifying stuff. Tim Ellington says the Bills defense was able to stop Bell and Barkley. Different type of run game when you start talking about the Patriots, right? So I think when you have the Bengals, they've had a hapless run game all season, right? They haven't been able to run the ball all year. And we just came off of dealing with Bell and Barkley. So controlling the run game from the Bengals wasn't going to be a tall task. They had injuries all over their offensive line front. I really expected to see the Bills put Andy Dalton on his tail a bunch, right? I expected them to be able to blitz and blitz and blitz and blitz and just put a ton of pressure on Andy Dalton. 2 sacks the Bills walked away with today, right? I expected way more than that. Now, mind you, they had Dalton hurried a variety of times in the first half. QB hits, because that to me is kind of where you look at it. You look at hurries, and hurries are kind of subjective. You look at QB hits versus sacks, different category, right? So on what did Dalton drop back? 36 times, 32 times, 36 times. So Dalton dropped back 36 times. 5 of those resulted in a hit, either in a hit or a sack. And from what I expected, that just wasn't good enough, right? I really, really expected to see a much more aggressive pass rush game that just simply wasn't there. The Bills have kind of benefited from Trent Murphy. And again, I can't believe that these words are coming out of my mouth, but Trent Murphy has done a great job of setting the edge against those elite running backs. So you have Bell and Barkley. You do not want those guys getting outside the tackles. So Trent Murphy was doing a great job of getting out on that tackle, sealing up that edge and forcing Bell and Barkley inside your linebackers, right? That's ideal. That's what you want. But against Cincinnati, that's not really what you're doing, right? You're not super concerned about Joe Mixon getting to the edge. You're not super concerned about Giovanni Bernard getting to the edge. So you have to, expect something different from him. Paul Berg calls Hughes was playing his ass off. Hughes was there, right? I will give it to Jerry Hughes. He is 100% at all times. He is 100% dialed in at all times, and he is just pass rush, pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Didn't get home all the time, right? And I really kind of expected that against Andre Smith, he was going to be a little bit more effective. Hughes has really good bend around the edge, so I thought that we'd be able to get there sometimes. And Dalton walked himself into some pass rush pressure a couple times. But I really expected a bigger game from Jerry Hughes. Perhaps I'm being unrealistic about the results from the pass rush game. You guys let me know in the comment section of Sportscaster or over in YouTube, and you let me know whether you think that we should have had a little bit of a better pass rush against what I really expected to be a very banged up and kind of lost offensive line. Matt says we have so much to learn and take away from the game, regardless of score. Buffalo found a way to get behind and come back again, and Scott Blakely says Gore was the MVP of today. That's actually a little debatable. Old Man Jenkins talks about I almost delivered that handle with a straight face. Old Man Jenkins says using our rookie TEs was a good move. What is it? And again, you guys tell me whether I'm crazy or not. What is it about Josh Allen being able to rip off big plays to these young tight ends? We've seen it. We saw it the first 2 games of the season, and here we saw it again with Knox. Can we talk about that stiff arm for a minute? That wasn't on his college film. You guys got to trust me on that. Not on his college film. Don't know what that was. That he did not do that in college. He took that man's soul in his hand, which was awesome. Yeah, it's just an unbelievable play. But what is it with Josh Allen finding these receivers as plays start to break down and finding the tight ends when these plays start to break down? You're not seeing these big break-off plays from John Brown. You're not seeing them from Robert Foster. You're not seeing them from Zay Jones. If Josh Allen is to throw it hard enough for the ball to encave into Zay Jones' chest so that he records a reception. You don't, sorry, that was just for some of you guys at #Nation. What is it about Allen being able to find these tight ends? It's been a while, right? So we had Charles Clay last season. I think if you say Charles Clay, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? That game in Miami, right? It's the very first thing that comes into your mind is that game in Miami. LeBron Hall says Knox has been hanging with Lee Smith, and he has a man steak now. That stiff arm was nasty. Brian Buke says, do I think Knox will be Buffalo's Gronk? How big spends he knocked him over. Bonus points for the pun, buddy. Bonus points for the pun. I don't think Knox is Gronk, right? Those are big shoes to fill. Gronk is a generational tight end. Like that's what it is, right? Dawson Knox, I've very high hopes for. Very high hopes for. Very, very high hopes for. But we'll see. Who knows? Tommy Sweeney and Dawson Knox are going to be a killer. That's from John Roberts. Yeah, that's right. Steve Hampton, only hole in Knox's game is that he isn't used to hot sauce. You got to get your chicken wing game on if you're going to be a Buffalo Bill. You got to get your chicken wing game on. That's all there is to it. Felix Delon, the Sweeney drop. That's tough, right? When you have a player like Knox, because let's be real, Knox, Sweeney, and Lee Smith. Lee Smith doesn't really bring anything to your passing game. He doesn't really bring too much to your passing game. That's not really what he's there for. Dawson Knox and Mike Sweeney. Sweeney's a surprise. Mike Sweeney. God, sorry, 1994 Cleveland, Kansas City Royals reference. Excuse me. Tommy Sweeney was not drafted to start on this team, right? You draft a player in his round because you're hoping that he can do something for you down the road. He's not supposed to be starting, but he's killing it. And you lose Tyler Croft. It was Alexander Nissimura Jr. How long before we cut Tyler Croft? The Bills took a chance by not putting him on the PUP list because they really thought that he was going to be able to contribute by week 3, week 4. And they thought that they could float through the first couple games of their young tight ends. And they've done a very admirable job of doing that. A very, very admirable job. The problem that you run into is that foot injuries just don't go away. right? And here we are with Tyler Kroft, and we're talking about injury history again, which is one of the reasons he was a free agent from Cincinnati in the first place, was injury history, injury history, history. And first it was an ankle, now it's, or first it was a foot, now it's an ankle. And those lower body injuries, we saw it with Sammy Watkins, they just do not go away. And here we are with Tyler Kroft dealing with it again and again. For those of you on Sportscaster, there you go. That's what happens, man. That's what happens. So, and for those of you just joining, Sportscaster actually has my soundboard hooked up, so there's lots of stuff. Chuck Christopher, Dave's using those tight ends, Paul. Now, I don't think that Brian Dable is using the tight ends in play call design. I think that's a Josh Allen thing, right? So Josh has found a lot of comfort in finding those tight ends. Tim Ellington, we signed Kroft before the draft, and before we had Knox and Sweeney. That's an awesome point. So Tyler Kroft was the best of the rest, right? It was a really weak tight end class. So you brought back Smith, and you're looking at Tyler Kroft, and you're like, okay, well, we need something here. We need some sort of receiving threat. So Tyler Kroft is like the TJ Yeldon, right? It's what you got to make sure that you walked away with something, right? Did Paul Berg just ask me if I've heard from Mario? I've not heard from Mario. I am worried about his safety, right? He's out there with Drew from the Rock Pile Report. And for those of you who know Drew and follow Drew at the Rock Pile Report, you would understand why drinking with him at 6:30 in the morning in the Hammer Lot is exactly bad. Only bad things can come of that, right? We're all under the understanding that only bad things can come of that. That's what it is. Scott Blakely hammered for sure. Yes, and if you were at the game, Mario was handing out hashtag sports wristbands, the What Drives You hashtag sports wristbands. All you had to do was say P Sizzle likes ranch. So that's where Mario and I are today. Oliver was invisible. Steve Hampton, Oliver was invisible today. Do you think it's just a matchup thing, or does he still have to work to do? Ed Oliver was not the most technically sound player when he got here, right? He isn't at the right weight for them either. So I wouldn't be surprised if during the offseason you see him come back next season. He's probably another 15 pounds heavier. He wasn't the right weight for Buffalo as it was. And as I said, he isn't the most technically sound player as it is. Teams are going to single him right now, right? Until he can prove that he could be a pass rush threat. And with this defensive line rotation, it's going to be tough for him to get snaps. If he continues to play the way that he is. Not saying that's bad, but when you have Jordan Phillips, pressuring for a tackle, you have Harrison Phillips out there, getting in on a pass rush and stopping the run. I saw Ed Oliver a few times around tackles, and, I think Oliver's fine, right? You don't have to worry about Ed Oliver right now because that rotation across the front of the line is so killer. I don't think you really have to worry about him too much at all. Let's see. Yep, Barkley, End Times Watcher says Giants in trouble. Barkley is limping around into the locker room. Yeah, I heard the same thing. So fantasy owners, for those of you who had that, I apologize if you drafted Saquon Barkley with the number 1 pick overall. You were probably right for doing so, but he's pretty banged up. Let's see, Truck Reviewer. I think the last QB that could get the ball to the tight end was Drew Bledsoe, and that was Jay Remersma. And here's one, Mark Campbell. When was the last time you heard Mark Campbell referenced as a Buffalo Bill? Good gracious. Good gracious. Yikes. Yikes. LaRon Hall says, I think they should move Oliver to D-end at times. That was the weird thing about Oliver, was when he was coming into the draft process, he dropped weight in order to show that he could play defensive end. Because, again, a lot of people knew he was playing nose in college, and a lot of people knew that wasn't exactly his true position. But he dropped some weight prior to the combine to show that he could play defensive end. And it's tough to put weight back on when you're at work every day, right? So the Bills are going to weight control him this offseason. We'll see what happens. I'm perfectly fine with the Ed Oliver that's playing every game right now, because I'm not saying that Oliver has done anything that is questioning your playing time. You might have higher expectations of him because of where he was drafted, and that's fine. But let's not forget, it's a rookie, not exactly at the right weight. He wasn't exactly a refined prospect when you got him. You drafted him on potential. That's really what you did. You drafted a player who didn't exactly play this position, and you're kind of teaching him on the fly. They're giving him enough snaps to learn, and we'll just see where it goes. I don't think you need to worry about Al Oliver. I know there's a lot of attention on him. If he was a third round pick, we wouldn't even be talking about this. Let's go back to Harrison Phillips. Did we talk about Harrison Phillips last season? Not really. We talked about what a surprise he was for being able to contribute as a third round pick. It's that. Let's not worry about that. Let's not worry about that at all. What I can tell you is I am absolutely thrilled to see what kind of adjustments the Bills can make off of this game. So the one thing I was a little nervous about it, I talked to Joe with it during the broadcast on both Sportscaster and on his channel at YouTube at Believers Talk, Get Joe to 1,000 subs, hashtag Get Joe to 1,000 subs, was bringing out your 4-minute offense. Richard Greenwood, yeah, came in late, but get Marcus Murphy back on this team. We actually talked about that with TJ Yeldon. So is Yeldon's roster spot up? Murphy's still a free agent, so who knows, right? We'll just kind of see. We'll kind of see where that goes. But I was a little nervous about the Bills putting their 4-minute offense on film, and that's what they did here, right? They put their 4-minute offense on film, and that's trouble, right? That's a big problem. You didn't have to really roll out your 4-minute offense the previous games, even though you were losing, right? Thanks, Stefan, for everybody hit that like button. Thank you again for you guys always championing that in the chat. It's something that I don't have to do, so I very much appreciate it. Thank you. You don't want to put your 4-minute offense on film. And here's the reason, right? So your 4-minute offense is a package of plays that are determined by a couple factors, right? So it's determined by field position, score, player personnel, and what has been successful, earlier in the game. So a lot of times you're picking and choosing different pieces of your 4-minute offense that you want to run. And in training camp, that's really what you focus on is that 4-minute offense. And it's built around plays that are very successful for you, that you can control matchups that are basically usable against any defense, any base defense that they're going to put out there. These are your kind of like your plays that will move you down the field. And you don't want to show that against the Patriots, right? You don't want to do that. And the Bills kind of were able to bypass a little bit of that because they started with the 4-minute offense, right? That's where they were, started with the 4-minute offense. But that long play to get in scoring distance, that's a product of a play that you save for a 4-minute offense, right? Just phenomenal play between Knox and Allen. That is what that play is there to do, is to get you down the field. And there is Allen finding his young tight end, which I just absolutely love. We'll see what happens, right? But you do not want to be putting your 4-minute offense on film a week before you go into New England. And that was one of the keys to the game that the Bills had to avoid. The Bills were up 2 scores, could have been 3, except you had that Allen intentional grounding penalty that took you out, right? Tough. It would have been nice to be up 3 scores, right? The Bills tried, a 62-yard attempt? For fantasy Steven Hauska owners, I'm sorry if your league takes away points for missing a 62-yard field goal. It's crazy. No fantasy league in this world should be subtracting points for anything over 50 yards, in my opinion. But that's a discussion for another day. Listen, the Bills are 3-0, and we can sit here and complain about everything that got the Bills to 3-0, right? Because it certainly hasn't been ideal. The Bills haven't come out and scored 40 points a game, right? You are 3-0 right now. You're going in to a situation with New England where that place is going to be rocking, man. Oh God, it's going to be rocking. But you're having New England the following week, and they just got done beating the tail off the Jets, right? This is what you want, right? You're looking at the season ahead of time, right? And you look at some of these games, you're like, okay, well, the Bills probably are going to win 3 games, right? It is of good likelihood that you're probably going to win 2 of the first 3 games. So we're either walking in against New England, 2-1 or 3-0. Ideal situation, right? But you got to get Devin Singletary healthy, and I think that was one of the reasons why they didn't push it. I think Joe from Believers Talk on his pregame prior to the game had mentioned that if this game were against the Patriots, you'd probably see Devin Singletary at least a little bit, right? You didn't see him at all. Right? You shelved him because you thought you could make it through this game, and this game was a lot closer than it probably should have been. The Bengals' halftime adjustments were great, and the one thing I don't worry about is the Bills making adjustments on defense. I don't worry about that. This team is built on defense. They do enough to put their team in position for the offense to score enough points. Now, they don't flip field position very often so far, but we're only 3 games in, right? Trey White, in my opinion, was the MVP of this game because I saw Trey and I was worried about Trey's matchup against John Ross because Trey has a tendency to struggle against speed receivers. But the one thing Trey can do is he can disrupt routes really early. We saw John Ross break free on a ball that was just over Ross's fingertips. He shake and baked Trey and was able to beat him over the top. And that's something that that Trey's had a little trouble with speed receivers. Is if they slow down, they suck him in, and then they can blow right past him because Trey's really, really good. But again, he struggles against those speed receivers. So I was a little worried about that. But you know what? They held John Ross out. Like what do you have? 2 receptions? I'll just double check that. He was pretty much a non-factor in the game. Let's see here. Yeah, John Ross had 2 receptions on 6 targets. And we look at Andy Dalton's stat line, and yeah, Dalton was 20 for 36, but the man had like 1 completion halfway through the second quarter. They had 1 first down halfway through the second quarter, and you let them back in this football game. So a couple things to note here. Really, really important that the Bills have to tighten up. Josh Allen and that fumble, right? That's tough, right? Because that's a third. I think Allen. You guys correct me if I'm wrong here. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Allen's fumbled in every game so far this season. You let me know in the comment section whether I'm right or wrong on that, but I'm pretty confident that Allen has fumbled in every game this season so far. Again, I could be wrong on that, right? But I'm pretty sure he's fumbled on every single in every single game this year. Another poor interception by Josh Allen. Again, I have a feeling like that was just because of the intentional grounding that took him out of field goal range earlier in the game, so that might be it. And YouTube says that Buffalo's about to get a lot of media attention. That's only because the Patriots are coming to town. And media follows the Patriots wherever they go. Like, that's just all there is to it. Warcoder, yeah, was blown dead against the Giants. Okay, all right. So I thought they fumbled in every single game. All right. Yeah, that's just one of those things where you put the ball in the other arm, right? It's just basic football, you run into the side, you put the ball in the other arm. Like it was out there for any, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, guys on our team, they don't miss opportunities like that. I'm not going to say that he needs to make better decisions when running. Alexander mentions he needs to make better decisions. I'm not going to say Josh Allen needs to make better decisions while running. I think that part of the game is just fine. I think that's just fine. As plays break down, Allen has been admirable, right? Admirable. We'll see, right? Rico Ali, Josh Allen is going to make those interceptions. Yeah, that's just one of those things. And then the call to Big Ben in the comment. Yeah, it's Josh Allen's a little bit of a swashbuckler, right? A little bit of a swashbuckler. It's going to happen. John Patrick Dable has some awful calls. I promised I would not talk poorly about Brian Dable till week 6. I promised everybody I'm gonna remain objective. I'm not gonna stand too far on one side, too far on the other. If he makes a mistake, I'm gonna call it out. If he does something great, I'm gonna call it out. But we're almost to week 6, and I can't wait to share my true opinions about Brian Dable. I just can't wait. Matt Mallory, Yeldon killed a drive. Yeldon killed a couple drives, unfortunately, but you're swapping out TJ Yeldon for Devin Singletary, which isn't exactly a fair swap. Derek Robertson calls out Zay and Foster need to step up. Foster is a ghost on this offense, 100% a ghost. And Zay Jones has been really solid in run blocking. There you go, right? I mean, that's what his role is right now, is run blocking. Slick Mongoose, what about the play where he dropped the ball, picked it up again, and still made the throw? Impressive. Sure. Allen makes it up with the best of them. Really does. He does a good job of making it up. The downside is that as a kid who has never had a problem, throwing a ball through a wall, he's going to make some poor decisions, right? And really, when he threw the ball away that got called intentional grounding, that's just bad ball placement. That's what that is. It's just bad ball placement. That's a mental mistake. That's not a physical mistake. Trying to force the ball um, in man coverage, right? Running backwards to a receiver who is standing still is a mental mistake. You can't make those types of mistakes, right? You can't make those types of mistakes. You can't. It's going to kill you. YouTube says Zay had a couple of key catches today. I'm not worried about Zay. You are. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Let's see. Let's check Sportscasters Chat. So again, thank you for joining me both on YouTube and Sportscaster. As far as play-by-play goes, Joe did an amazing job on his channel at Believers Talk calling the game today. If that's on YouTube, if you really want to catch the true play-by-play, I had Joe pulled up and I was listening to Joe and I had the volume on my TV turned down. It was synced up pretty close. Sportscaster gives only a 1-second latency, so that's where you want to be to watch the play-by-play is over on Sportscaster. Nice job by Joe. Believers Talk, that's Joe says, still love Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley, 10 targets today, 8 receptions, and you had to expect a big game from him, right? Because Cole Beasley is Buffalo's version of Edelman, right? So walking into the Patriots game, what you're going to do is you're going to look at, okay, let's make this film as useless as possible for the Patriots. What can we do to make this film just waste Bill Belichick's time? And having Cole Beasley being a major part of that game does that, right? Because Beasley plays a role similar to what is played by Edelman. Right, he runs a lot of those underneath routes. If anybody knows how to defend against that, it's Bill Belichick. So watching Beasley do what Edelman does, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm not worried about this. Okay, another reception. I see what they're doing. Yeah, okay, it's another one. That's great, right? So you're not showing him something that he doesn't already know the answers to, right? So what you can do is you can set up this offense with a lot of Cole Beasley, like the Bills did. Yes, he's the safety valve for Josh Allen, but Dawson Knox, 3 receptions for 67 yards today. That's a pretty nice safety valve all in itself. So yes, Beasley was a major part of this offense, but it's nice to be ready to kind of roll out and kind of waste some of Bill Belichick's time. I think that this week they definitely did that. So if you're a little salty after this game, just remember the Bills wasted about 45 minutes of Bill Belichick's time with Cole Beasley performance. Remember Old Fashioned Trousers, Hart for Shady. Shady, 2 touchdowns today. Now, today is a game where you look at it and say it would have been nice to have Shady, right? But if Shady's here, Singletary's not getting the opportunities that the coaching staff felt that he was ready for. That's fine. And Warcoder calls out wasting Belichick's time is the run with Knox. That's a great point. You're 100% right on that. That is a huge waste of time watching a tight end on a run play. And that kind of brings me to that third down play. The 3rd and 1 where the Bills ran whatever the hell you want to call that. I'm not really sure what the hell it was. I don't even know how to break down what that play was. But the one where McKenzie was tackled for, I believe it was a 4-yard loss on 3rd and 1. It was tough, right? James Passon says the 3rd and 1 play pissed me off. You are not alone. I'm sure there's many people who are pounding their fists on their coffee table, slamming beers after that. Hey, what's going on, Encel? And here's the deal, right? There are times when you have to put stuff on film. And I understand the need for that. The Knox play, I think, is probably a pretty good example of that. You run Knox, it's something that, it's there, right? Everybody's going to see it now. There it is. However, 3rd and 1, I don't think is the time to do it, right? You're still looking to score, right? You have to play, and Sean McDermott has said this, you have to play 60 minutes of football. And I'm not really sure the Bills were playing 60 minutes of football in this game. They missed on adjustments. One thing I didn't really see Allen do as much this game was I didn't see Allen check as much as he did the previous 2 games. I'm not sure what that is. But as you get further into the season, maybe this is a conversation for another day, but as you get further into the season, the defensive looks get more and more complex. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to be able to bluff Allen a little bit better than what you do at the beginning of the season, right? Because at the beginning of the season, the communication across the defensive, across your defense isn't really going to be there. You're not exactly in a rhythm yet. So a lot of your looks are going to be a little bit more obvious. So I don't know. We'll have to take a look and see if we see more adjustments from Allen. I kind of expected to see him take a little bit more control of the offense today as far as making checks. I saw him do it a few times, but just not as much as I recalled in the first two games. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and watch the first two games again and kind of count those checks and then go back and count him this game. But it just didn't seem like he was in super control of the offense there. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But maybe I'm wrong. Grendel calls out the Bills got conservative in the third. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you have Frank Gore on this team for a reason. The Frank Gore touchdown is the reason Frank Gore is on this team because you really couldn't ask Shady to do that last season. You gave DeMarco, but DeMarco is not exactly what I would need in a goal line situation, right? Because he's not Mike Allstott, right? Not that we'll ever see a fullback like Mike Allstott again. But he's not Allstott, right? He's not your typical fullback. That's not the mode of what the fullback is in the NFL. There's only a handful of teams that carry him, and they're not exactly these massive individuals anymore. So 3rd and 1, you have the opportunity to continue to take control of the game. The Bills won time of possession. Joe, I know you're still watching. Can you look up the time of possession numbers for me and drop them in the chat? Because I think it was through the second half. With about 10 minutes left in the second half, the Bengals had only had the ball for 4 minutes, which, I mean, the Bills controlled time of possession, but everything changed after the half, right? Everything flipped right upside down. You could have told me that the team swapped helmets and I would have believed you. The third quarter got very vanilla, and it was just let's hit cruise control. Let's not make a mistake. And this defense is good, man. This defense is real good. But you just can't do that. Spin 0481. Thank you for joining us on both the Sportscaster as well as YouTube. Yeah, 23 minutes to 7 minutes at the half. Mikey Mike 22 to 8. Top of the half, I think. Yeah, that's probably pretty close to right. That's just dominating. That is dominating. Your offense is just taking control. You are running the show. But you need to score more than 14 points if you're going to run the show like that, because as soon as you lose that time of possession battle, you have the ball for that long and you only put up 2 scores, you're really in trouble. You got to be able to put your foot on the throat of an opponent and put them away. The Bills could have had this game nearly won by halftime, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't get it done. And that is frustrating. I'm not like mad about it, but it's just something to put in the back of your mind that they had full control of this game. And here we are. You have an opportunity to just put a team away that you need to put away. If you're a playoff team, you need to win these games. This is a team that hasn't won a game this season. You played a Jets team, hasn't won a game this season. You've played the Giants, haven't won a game this season. You need to put these teams away. You need to win these games. And always have to come from behind is just nerve-wracking, because I saw somebody mention it. It is terrifying to think that you have the Patriots coming to town soon, right? Yeah, and Joe from Believers Talk puts it basically even. Cincinnati 30 minutes, Buffalo 29 minutes. Oh yeah, so it was almost dead even on possession time. And still take a breath, Paul. Sorry, man, I get passionate. Tactics 1, if Gore is not 100%, we have a problem. Well, that was the wrong game. Oh, okay. No, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. That was from 2016. Good stat, buddy. Way to set me up. Yeah, Gore going out's a big time deal. You expect Singletary to be there, but again, if you're going to lose Frank Gore, let's say Frank Gore's at 75%. Are you walking in next week with TJ Yeldon and Devin Singletary? Are you really okay with doing that? Jim Parker calls Knox the battering ram. I'll watch that man run with a football any day. That is fun. That is fun from the tight end position to have somebody that can do that. It's been a while since we've had that, right? It's been a long while. But man, I'll take it. I'll take it any day of the week. Twice on Sundays. More on Sundays. I'll take it any day. Shibba Skull says a win is a win. It is. A win is a win. But you have to keep score though, right? Grendel says, I like McKenzie's speed burst. Yeah, McKenzie is a fun player, but he's kind of buried a little bit. He's a gadget player. I was hoping to see Andre Roberts involved a little bit more, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, right? Because if you're looking at next week, expect the role that McKenzie played to kind of feature Andre Roberts a little bit more. We see McKenzie because Andre Roberts was banged up. We saw McKenzie in that kind of gadget role where they're running him in jet sweeps, and they're kind of they're kind of taking advantage of McKenzie ability behind the line. Expect Andre Roberts to have a similar role. One thing we didn't really see a lot was no screens, right? No screenplays. They're a great blitz beater, man. Yeah, microphone. I told you. If for those of you on Sportscast, you're getting way more cool stuff because I've got sound effects, all sorts of cool stuff on Sportscaster. I haven't had to use it yet, besides just for a little entertainment. I've got the Bud Light again. Very excited about that one. I've got the Bill Shout song. I can play that whenever I want. Very excited about that. And the other one I uploaded last night. I have no idea what it was. It doesn't matter. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it's funny. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's a good time. So that is what it is, man. We did run a screen to Gore. How'd it go? Mikey Mike went nowhere. Ding. There we are. It's spin 0481 says, I think Yellen got a screen when he fumbled. I didn't think there was a design screen. I think it was just an outlet pass where he's running the flat. I don't think it was a true screen because I don't remember the line shifting over for coverage. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I didn't think that was a true screen pass. True screen pass is when your offensive linemen are pulling to try and get in front of the running back, and I just don't remember that happening. I think it was just an outlet pass. Yeah, that's... Ooh, Justin, does Trey get the call from Deion Sanders this week? I don't know. That's always fun, right? Trey is a cool cat to talk to. We are actually going to be at Legends and Stars in Batavia, October 20. I think it's October 26th, 25th, 26th. Marv is going to be there signing. Kelly's going to be there. Of course, you have to pay for all these autographs, but still, it's great. An amazing time. Ed Oliver's going to be there. Trey White's going to be there. Devin Singletary's going to be there. So we're going to be there. I don't think we were planning on doing a broadcast or anything. Maybe we'll do a broadcast. We've done a bunch of stuff at Batavia Downs. It's where we always do our draft coverage, found at Rock Sports Network. So maybe we'll do, a broadcast while we're there and shake some hands and kiss some babies and have a good time with you guys. Monkey P, where is Rico? Rico from Fanatics. Rico was on a few weeks ago with Mario. We did a collaboration with Rico. Always great to keep in touch with the guys from like Greg Comset from Cover One, Joe from Believers Talk, Rico from Fanatics. Always great to connect with those guys. Why is YouTube smoother than Sportscaster? Matthias Walter asks. So here's the deal with Sportscaster. Sportscaster runs on a 1 second latency, right? So what happens is when something's happening real time, Sportscaster is going to give you that audio quick. Now that requires a very, very dominant internet feed, right? So as soon as you get one little blip in the radar, sometimes it can get just a little grainy, right? But from a latency standpoint, can't beat it. Shivas goes, Viva Los Bills. Yeah, absolutely. Viva Los Bills. Is there going to be beer at Batavia Downs? Listen, buddy, there's beer wherever I go. Did I just see Trey White get called a national treasure? That is right. Trey White should be a national treasure. And actually, the Trey White going to Legends and Stars is going to be one of the main focuses. We're doing a making of video. We've got together with a couple of people. I don't want to make too big an announcement yet because it's not official yet, but we're pretty lock solid on details, but I don't want to make an official announcement yet. We are getting something from Trey signed that's going to be like a really, 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 really big giveaway item. And it's one of a kind. It's going to be super, super cool. I cannot wait to show you, but we're going to wait till we get it signed by Trey first before we do anything with it. So anything we do here at Hashtag, we're always just giving away everything we can. So there we go. Let's see. So, Paul, what do you think? James Passon says, what do you think we need to do to be able to put a full game together? I don't know, man. I don't know. There are times where it seems like, the offense just isn't working full tilt just yet. I think, some of that comes back to the fact that you have a quarterback that doesn't have full control, right? This is a learning experience for him. And also, let's not forget, man, this is also, John Brown and Cole Beasley, year 1 and 2, they're This is their first season here in Buffalo. Right? My thought process is that it can only get better, right? That's really what I think. It can only get better. Noah Geider kills it. Trey is greater than Gilmore. You're damn right he is. Sorry, got all passionate there for a second. Um, Maestro telling me that double nickel zero. If you're a fan of hashtag and you've seen us do post games and stuff before, we refer to WGR as double nickel zero. Um, yeah, so understand that that's who we're talking about. Double nickel zero, saying that Mike Shope is talking hot trash on double nickel zero. I certainly don't want to play down. Oh, hey, ship is gold, $1.99. Thank you so much. Are we getting T-shirts anytime soon? Yes, we are. So a couple things have to go into that. One is copyright. That's always a big deal. You got to make sure everything's copyrighted and yada yada yada. So we're dealing with all that, and then we got to deal with quality control. So we'll have a couple test shirts made out. We'll beat the living hell out of them, see what holds up best. Because one thing Mario and I don't want to do is have merchandise available for you guys that's just trash. So trust me, we got stuff coming. We just want to make sure that it's quality stuff. We don't want to sell you guys nonsense. So thank you very much, Shivas. Appreciate that. All right. Rico Ali says Jalen will complete our secondary. I saw Kevin Johnson today on that holding penalty, and that was just gut wrenching. When you see a holding penalty with less than 4 minutes, because it's an automatic first down, it's just one of those penalties that just sucks the life force right out of your defense. And Kevin Johnson played a lot in the slot. Kind of expected him to. Cyril Neal's not exactly a coverage guy, so you kind of expected Kevin Johnson to be out there when you knew that they were going to be throwing the ball. Mikey Mike, we will not have hashtag sports banana hammocks. Full transparency, not on our radar, right? Just not on our radar. But I thought Kevin Johnson played pretty well. The holding penalty is just his hands were inside the whole time. Like that's a call that's going to get made. I actually thought it might have been offensive pass interference because it was so close to when the catch was made that I thought they might have called a push off on the receiver. We obviously didn't see the penalty till the replay, but it is what it is. I'll take a cornerback being aggressive anytime. If a cornerback's making an aggressive play, I'll take that anytime. You have to take the bad with the good. Uda no Bunga. You guys challenging me with some of these. It says Allen isn't our weakest link. The whole offense has to improve. Crucial balls were dropped. Yeah, Josh Allen has to improve too. There's lots of improvements that can be made all across the offensive line. And from a pass protection standpoint, again, when you lose Feliciano, you lose the communication on the right side of that line. Quentin Spain has always kind of had a question mark next to him because he played next to he played next to Taylor Lewan. So one of the reasons Quentin Spain wasn't exactly heralded out there on the free agent market was, again, I think some people thought like he might not have been as good as some of his tapes showed because he was playing next to one of the best left tackles in the game. But Quentin Spain is a solid player. He did get caught up on a couple inside blitzes today, and that is going to happen, right? That is going to happen. But when Feliciano went down, that's a big deal. That's the injury that I'm really looking forward to seeing an update on Monday. I'm sorry, Tuesday, because they're not going to give me anything on Monday. So I'm really looking to see what that injury is on Tuesday, and we'll find out. The Feliciano injury is a big one. That's a real big one. Yeah, Mikey Mike calls out Spain's run block has been really solid. Yeah, he is. Bills fan 7883 says not a fan of the prevent defense, nor should anybody be a fan of the prevent defense. Never a fan of that, but again, it is what it is. You're looking to try and just keep it in front of you and keep them from going out of bounds. That's all you're trying to do. You're trying to keep them inside. That's it. You had to take the wins with the losses. And if that was less risky, then that was less risky. Harrison, Phillips was a little banged up. Again, man, they're not going to give you anything in post game, tell you really what it is. You're really not going to find out anything till Tuesday as far as injuries go. It's just, it is what it is. You're not going to find out anything till Tuesday as far as injuries are concerned. So the only thing you do is just kind of look at it. And across the board, Buffalo 45 calls out in Sportscaster, go Bills. Yes, always go Bills, man. Always go Bills. Did Brian Buke just ask me if... No, I'm not drinking beer. Squirt. I got yard work to do after this, guys. Listen, I'm a husband, 2 kids, number 3 on the way. It is what it is. Mike Monkey P asks, when is the bye week? We're looking 6. Got a ways to go. Got the Patriots first before we get to that bye week. Early bye week this season, which sucks. Hate the early buys. Hate the early buys. But for the rookies, it's a good thing. It's the first real break that their bodies get. Just what it is. Mikey, my condolences. I'm assuming that is on number 3 on the way. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, guys. Very excited. So why does our offense fall apart in the third quarter? One thing that I thought was a major component of this team was quality control at the beginning of the season. I thought that was a massive thing that Buffalo really did well, was their quality control. It has fallen apart for them from an offensive side, from the offensive side of the football. It just seems like the offense doesn't have the ability to make adjustments. So they're good until adjustments start getting made. And it's just killer to me that that's what happens. But we've seen it 3 games in a row where they've come out and they just haven't seemed to be able to make adjustments once teams start adjusting for them. And that is quality control, and that is the offensive coordinator and quality control. That is their job. They need to figure that out. They need to get in the film room. They need to figure out why they're missing stuff, because they're missing stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they have to put somebody up in the booth. I don't know if that's why Dable was up in the booth to start. When he started last season. That's why Dable was up in the booth. And then he came down once the quarterback carousel started, because you had Matt Barkley and Derek Anderson and Josh Allen. It was just and Nate oh God, I said Nate Peterman. Sorry for all of you that I said Nate Peterman. But it was just a disaster. So he got moved out of the booth, back down to the sidelines. They really need to figure it out, because it is getting frustrating watching the second half adjustments and then coming out and just seeing vanilla. It's like when you walk into a building, they painted it beige. It's when like they don't know what color to paint the wall, so they just paint it beige. Like that's Bill's second half offense. Does the color make anybody want to vomit? No, good enough, right? It's just frustrating. That needs to get better. That needs to improve. I'm hopeful that it will. I'm hopeful that it will. We'll see. We'll see. So the Patriots come up next week. Have to watch out for a couple things. One is the health of Sony Michel. He was actually a little banged up going into this week. 2, Julian Edelman chest injury. Got to watch out for that. 3, Tom Brady. Hopefully he slips on a bath mat sometime in the next 6 days. That would be wonderful. This pass rush should be able to get to him, right? But you got to get home with 4, right? You got to be able to get home with 4 against the Patriots. The Bills had the opportunity to try and get home with 4 today, and while they certainly brought hurries, it didn't come with any. It didn't come with any results. Monkey P says, Bulldog says we dominated the Giants. I would not call that domination either. I'm with you 100%. Anthony Johnson, Brady injured his calf. Perfect. Good. I'm glad. Hopefully they x-ray that calf and they find out that he's got like Buffalo 45 says Brady gets mono. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Imagine. Think of it, right? Buffalo's 3-0. Like, this is a joyous event. This is joyous. Everything's looking up. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Warcoder calls up. Gotta rely on Dorsey to handle the Allen Dable relationship, and I do agree with that, right? I very much agree with that. Ken Dorsey was brought in here to do everything he could to try and make sure that the translation from Dable to Allen was there, right? Dorsey's been around. He interviewed for the job back when Dennison was hired, but this is something you have to do. But let's keep in frame here, right? The Bills are 3-0. Joe just called it out. Great thing. Last time we started 3-0, we finished 6-10. I'm not saying that is what is happening here, but I think you have to kind of look at everything from a removed point of view, right? And you've had to come back in all 3 games to win. That's one. You've scored enough points to be ranked in the top half of the league. That's a big positive, right? You're not winning these games 10-6. The Bills have put up 21 points. They were ranked 10th in the NFL last week, prior to this week, rather. They were 10th in the NFL with 22.5 points per game, right? So the Bills are top 15 in points scored, right? That's a good thing. With this defense, that's what you needed to do. You needed to get your offense into the top 15 in scoring because your defense should be able to hold to 14 or under. That's what you're praying for. You're just praying that you can hold to 14 or under. Let's see. Chief Orley says, was it just me? Or was it crazy how Josh Allen was in the fourth quarter like he told two defenders to get off him? I think Allen played a great game in the fourth quarter, right? I really do. I think Allen played a great game in the fourth quarter. Limited mistakes, put the team on his back, ran when he had to run, made the right calls. There's a lot of positives here. But you don't want to see this every single week. Like, I understand I made the joke with Joe when he was calling the play-by-play on YouTube and on Sportscaster for us at hashtag sports. You do not. This is why Buffalo has the Gates Cardiac and Vascular Center, is because you need a crash cart every time the Bills play football on Sunday. It's ridiculous, but it's fun, right? I'm sure you cannot tell me that Buffalo Victory Monday is equal to or in any way comparable to Buffalo Lost Monday, right? You can't. Buffalo Win Monday is far superior. I'll take however they win. I just think it's important to also scope where you're going, right? You're walking into a Patriots situation that is dire, right? The Patriots are not in good shape. Their offensive line is really banged up. They're probably going to be without Edelman. Sony Michel has been banged up. Brady has a calf injury, right? Everything looks like it should be playing into the Bills' favor, but you got to get Devin Singletary healthy. That's one. Two is you have to figure out what you're doing in the pass protection side of things, because the pass protection looked really, really, really shaky at times. And Allen made it up as he went, and I thought he did a fine job there. I thought he did a fine job making it up as he went. But you don't want to depend on that. That's not how you should be winning football games. Mark Scusi says Edelman's out. Yeah, I haven't heard official things on the injury. Just like we haven't heard officially on Feliciano. We haven't heard officially on Niseki. We haven't heard officially on Harrison Phillips. There's no official word yet, so I always hate to speculate. That's one thing I really try to avoid, is speculate. We'll see, right? Lamar Page, situational football, give the lead to the comebacks, all learning curves. Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. Listen, they're getting it done, right? They're getting it done. Doesn't matter. They're getting it done. Chuck Christopher says Edelman's x-rays were negative. Still, bone bruises in the chest area are just debilitating. So unfortunately, you could dope him up with all you want. That's still going to hurt. It's still going to hurt. If you're the Patriots, can you win without Edelman? I think it's a viable question. Can you win without Edelman if you're the Patriots? If you're the Bills, could you win without Beasley? Well, I mean, who else are you missing? It becomes the other part of that conversation. Bills fan 7883. The first, the second, and the fourth, Allen was amazing. I'm not going to say amazing. I think Allen played up to a level of football that we expect to see him for his second year. I'm not willing to say that he played amazing, but I will say that there were times when Allen made the decision to run, and I went, thank God, because I did not want to see him stand in that pocket and take hits. And he's done a really good job of avoiding hits so far this season. But, Allen ran the ball 9 times today. A few of them were designed runs, and that's fine. But going into next week, you want to make sure that Allen is comfortable staying in the pocket, because the Patriots pass rush is not outstanding, right? It's not a great pass rush. But the question will be, will Allen be able to recognize what they're giving him? I don't know. Lamar Page, Hyde, big plays week to week. Micah Hyde has been phenomenal this season. And there's one play that I want to call out. I don't think it got the attention on the broadcast that it should have. So the Kevin Johnson sack on Andy Dalton. Micah Hyde is in the back of that frame, and I don't know if you guys saw, but Micah Hyde is screaming at Kevin Johnson, no, this side. And you saw Kevin Johnson run over Dalton, doesn't change protection, right? Lets the play happen. Kevin Johnson ends up swarming in on Andy Dalton. Micah Hyde made that sack happen because of his mind, right? He saw something that said, no, Johnson, you're on the wrong side. Not even necessarily you're on the wrong side based on the coverage schemes. It was, no, you got to get over here right now. You got to get over here. This is where the pressure, you can put pressure on Dalton on this side. He saw something, called it, got Kevin Johnson over to the other side. Kevin Johnson was able to take on pass pro, and was still able to rank up the sacks. So that was great to see. Butcher's Block and Patriots talks rumors, boy, Northeast. Good win, fellas. Congrats to your Bills. Yeah, we'll see if we're still talking next week, bud. Right? This is where it's going to get crazy. This is the game that every Bills fan has circled on their calendar, is this Patriots game. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on with Hashtag Sports during this time. So what we're going to do is Mario and I, Mario went to the game today. He was handing out hashtag wristbands for those of you who were there. So it was cool, I'm sure. I have no idea what condition he was in by game time. He got and was tailgating at 6:30 in the morning. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But Mario and I will be recording and live streaming all our content this week. So we're probably going to do a live stream maybe Tuesday, probably Thursday. So those days we're going to do live streams. So that way, the injury history with the games upcoming, we can keep you up to date the best, right? If we cut our content, we'd be cutting it tonight, and it'd be a little aged because we don't really know about the injuries against the Patriots. So it's just best for everybody if we make sure that we live stream that coverage. So you're probably going to see live streams from us Tuesday and Thursday. And that's what to expect from Hashtag this week. Of course, we'll have our exclusive content Saturday morning on Sportscaster, and then Mario and I are actually calling the game on Sportscaster next week. So that's very exciting. So make sure you join us on YouTube and on Sportscaster. Joe is getting the week off. Now, I do want to talk real quick. James Passan asks, what happens to the Allen deep ball? Three things are happening with Josh Allen and the deep game. One is Robert Foster's a ghost, right? That's it. Robert Foster is a complete and total ghost right now. Two is Allen's missing some of those reads. Okay, that's just true. He's just missing some of the reads, and it's a learning curve, right? Three is that when he's throwing the ball deep right now, they're not play design deep throws, right? So what's happening is the play is breaking down. You saw that with the pass to Zay Jones today, where he threw it like 5 yards over Zay Jones' head. That play had broken down. That wasn't his primary read. He was just trying to push the ball downfield. So we're not really seeing designed plays from Brian Daboll to get Allen to throw the ball vertically. And the truth is, that's all going to change for the Patriots game. Right? So in the back of your mind, you need to attack the Patriots with something that they haven't seen before. And the Bills have not really attempted any of those deep passes, or not a large volume of them, intentionally, right? A lot of times that you've seen those deep passes has been as the play breaks down and Allen buys some time and he's got the arm to throw it anywhere on the field. So that's what's happening. So I think you're going to start seeing some of those designed bomb plays a little bit more next week. We'll see, right? I'm hopeful we will see, but that's what I'm thinking is likely to happen, is you're going to start seeing some of those longer passes come against the Patriots, because everything has been relatively short to these moderate routes. Belichick knows that, right? So that's what he's going to try and take away. He's going to try and he's going to try and disrupt Allen's primary read. That's the goal here, is let's disrupt Allen's primary read. He was staring at receivers a little bit today. He does get a little caught. But you have to have Singletary back. Monkey P calls it out. You have to have Singletary back. You have to have him back. Chief Orley, I know it's early, but today's gem was Knox to me. Yeah, absolutely. Trey White played great. Micah Hyde played great. Micah Hyde, the forcing the fumble, and then also calling the pass rush on Kevin Johnson for the sack on Andy Dalton. Tons of stuff that are positives for the Bills here. TJ Babulski. Buzz totally screwed that up. My last name's Wineski. My apologies for that. Knox is looking great, right? Knox is looking great. Derek Robertson says still waiting for Oliver's first sack. The Bills are going to be bringing a lot of four-man pressure next week, so if you're going to see an Oliver sack, it might come against the Patriots. That offensive line's pretty banged up, but we'll see. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. I'm going to talk to you all this week. So again, expect content Tuesday, Thursday, live streams from Hashtag Sports. Thank you for joining me with the Hashtag postgame. Anything you guys need, you can drop it in the comments section once this video is posted. Thanks to you on Sportscaster as well. I will talk to you soon. You guys have a great one. For those on Sportscaster, oh yeah, we're going to go all with the shout song. Y'all have a good time. We'll talk to you later.